Hello and welcome, dear Viking guests, here at the Abbey of Göttweig, located in Austria in Europe. My name is Father Pius and I'm one of the monks of this Benedictine monastery. It's winter in a very special time, after a very hard year for us and also for you. And we have no guests at this time, but we want to share with you some of our moments and rooms here in our monastery. We want to use this possibility via Viking.TV to show you what you will see when you will travel again with the vessels of Viking. So please follow me, let's go inside. It's a little bit warmer there. We are here in our apricot garden in front of one of the Baroque towers of our monastery. And there is the so-called apricot cellar. And I want to show you how it looks like. Please follow me. This is the first thing you see when you reach our monastery, the so-called apricot cellar. A kind of area for welcoming our guests. At this point, we offer you some drinks, homemade drinks made here in the monastery. We produce apricot sparkling wine and apricot juice. And when you arrive at our monastery, we will give you a little glass to taste it. And then you can go inside this area where we tell you some historical facts about the monastery. But first of all, I want to tell you some facts about me and my life, who I am and what we're doing here. As you already know, my name is Father Pius. And as you can hear, English is not my mother language. I learned English many years ago at school in Germany because originally I'm from the southern part of Germany and my parents still live there near the city of Stuttgart. Nearly 25 years ago I became a monk of this Benedictine monastery. I entered the monastery as a novice, and after the first year living here at the monastery I went to Salzburg. I studied philosophy there, and then I went to Rome, and at the Papal University San Anselmo at Rome in Italy I studied theology. I became a priest, I was ordained, and then I began to work with a pastoral care in one of our parishes. We have 35 parishes. I'm also responsible for tourism, and that's the reason why I have the possibility to speak to you today. After this personal introduction, I want to tell you some historical facts about Göttweig Abbey. During your cruise, you will cruising the Danube River. Your ship will stop at the medieval city of Krems. Krems is located in the heart of Lower Austria. Lower Austria is the region where the monastery is located. Göttweig is located on a little hill, and on the very top of the hill is our monastery. A monastery with a very long tradition. Göttweig Abbey was founded in the 11th century, exactly in the year 1083. And since 1083 there were always monks living, working and praying at this lovely place. During your visit you will see that Göttweig is a modern monastery, an open house. The doors and gates are widely open for guests. The reason is the founder of our order was a man called Saint Benedict, and he wrote the rules, the rule of Saint Benedict. And one important fact for him is hospitality. There should be always guests in our monastery. This is written by himself. And this is the reason why we are opening our gates and doors for you. And we want to show you how monastic life looks like in this century. I'm sure you have seen a lot of films, movies, in television or cinema. You have seen a lot of monasteries and monks, but you maybe have a medieval imagination how monastic life looks like. But during your tour here at Göttweig Abbey, we want to tell you how modern monastic life looks like. And we have a lot of different work to do here. One of the most modern parts is this cinema, and I'm sure that this cinema is maybe the oldest cinema you've ever seen. It was built in the 18th century, exactly from 1720 to 1740. That means about 300 years ago. And behind of me you see these thick, big walls. These are the basics of our monastery, of the Baroque part. We are standing in front of the entrance gate to the youth house of Göttweig. We are offering accommodation for young people. They are coming especially in groups during the summer holidays. They spend some days here, 3, 5, 7 days. They can stay here overnight, and we have a big garden for them, a playing field, a soccer field, beach volleyball, a lot of possibilities for young people. In the 11th century, when our monastery was founded by Bishop Altmann from Passau, there were no other buildings here. So you can imagine that this was the very top of this little hill called Göttweig. And the first building being constructed was this little chapel here, the Ehrentodis Chapel from 1072. This is the oldest part of the monastery, and on the other side here is the newest part, the workshops for the handcrafters from 1911. The heart of our monastery, in the center of the inner courtyard, of course, is the Abbey Church, the place of worshipping the Lord, the place where the monks are gathering together for their prayers and where Holy Mass is being celebrated every day. The church is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary. She is patron saint of our church. Therefore, you see a big statue of her on the facade. Between the big bell towers, 10 bells are inside these towers, and they are ringing before the prayers or before Holy Mass is being celebrated. 3 different architectural styles you can see here. Originally, it's the church built and founded by Bishop Altmann from Passau in the year 1083. It's a Gothic church with a lot of Baroque elements, especially the big facade you can see behind of me. Before we are going inside the church, I will give you an overview of the other buildings. Next to the church is the so-called vestibule wing. There are guest rooms, apartments for family members of the monks. The big building in the corner is where our abbot lives. Our abbot is called Columban, and he lives there in this building. You can see the imperial wing. There were the apartments for guests, for the imperial family, but nowadays there is the museum, and we will go later on inside the museum. Behind the Christmas tree, you see the retreat house. It's also the guest house. We're offering accommodation for tourists. You can stay overnight here, sleep in the monastery, stay some days, and you can have your meals in our own restaurant, where we offer bed and breakfast, of course. I already told you about the chapel on the very top of the hill, the workshops for the handcrafters, and there was a big castle with 4 round towers and a big moat around it. Half of it survived a fire, 1718. Later on, I will show you a wooden model where you can see how the castle looked like before it burned down. Next to the entrance gate to the inner courtyard is our youth house, and the monks are living in the area behind the church. There were 2 big fires during the 900 years of history of Göttweig Abbey. The first fire was 1580 and the second more than 300 years ago in the year 1718. Nearly the whole monastery burned down, but the church, the Abbey church, was always in the center and the church survived the fire. We are standing here next to a wooden model where you can see how Göttweig looked like before this fire. The Abbey church in the center. Next to the Abbey church with the biggest tower, the parish church, and surrounded by a big moat with 4 rounded towers, an old medieval castle. You will have the possibility to see this castle during your guided tour. And on the very top of the hill, there is the Erentrudis chapel. You will see the chapel here in the center of the inner courtyard of Göttweig Abbey. Since the year 2000, Göttweig Abbey is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, well known for this imperial staircase. It's the biggest staircase in Baroque style in Austria and the second biggest in Europe. Maybe you're wondering why there is a staircase in a monastery like this. The reason is, in the 18th century, there were no hotels. So when the Emperor Charles VI, or later on his daughter Maria Theresia, were traveling by horses and chariots, they had the right to stay overnight in the monasteries. Therefore, Göttweig had to build guest rooms, apartments for the royal family. And this big staircase was only the entrance. You can imagine how beautiful the rooms are, you will see later on. But now I want to tell you some facts about the things you see here, and the most beautiful is the fresco, of course. The architect of our monastery was Johann Lucas from Hildebrand. He was a very famous Viennese architect in the 18th century. You will see a lot of buildings made by him when you're visiting Vienna. And he had the idea to put windows on both of the walls. That means using the axis of the sun. When the sun goes up and goes down, there is always a lot of light in this room. Even during the winter time, when there's no sun, when it's cloudy outside or foggy, there is always light in this room. A very friendly room. Showing the family we are welcoming them. And therefore, the architect had the idea to build 12 vases on the handrail. And on each of these vases is a symbol for a month. From January to December, the 12 vases are representing these months, showing the royals that we are welcoming them the whole year. Not only the 12 months are visible in this imperial staircase, but also the 4 seasons. On the left side, you can see a young man. He's a symbol for spring. On the right side, next to him, is a man with corn in his hand coming back from harvesting from the field. This is a symbol for the summer. On the opposite side, you see on the left side a man representing fall with grapes in his hand. Winery is very important in the Wachau valley. And behind me on the right side there is an old man with a coat and fire in his hand. This is a symbol for winter. The most beautiful thing is the painting on the ceiling, the so-called fresco. It was painted by an artist. His name was Paul Droger. He painted this in the year 1739. And in the center of this beautiful painting is Apollos, god of the sun, in a golden chariot, but with the face of the former Emperor Charles VI. He was father of Maria Theresia. Paul Droger, who painted this, had the idea to tell the people a story. Before the Habsburg family reigned in Austria, the times were very bad. There were a lot of wars, people were very poor, nothing to eat, and there was the Black Death, of course, in this time. Paul Droger painted in front of the golden chariot dark and grey clouds representing these bad times. And with Charles VI, the golden age started. Therefore, he painted a great big sun around the head of Charles VI. And behind Charles VI, that means after his and his daughter Maria Theresia, times changed. People had time to listen to music, to go to concerts. They were interested in architecture and so on. Therefore, the painter had the idea to paint 7 young, beautiful ladies behind the chariot. The ladies are representing the 7 arts: architecture, music, numismatic, and so on. That means people had the possibility to do beautiful things. During your guided tour at Göttweig Abbey, we will open a lot of doors and rooms for you. Now I want to show you one of the smaller ones. At this room, we show you the history of our monastery, especially the founder history, and we will tell you some facts about the founder of our order, Saint Benedict, because here we have 3 beautiful paintings showing you detailed scenes of his life. Now we are one of the imperial rooms, the dining room of the emperor, the so-called Altmanni Hall. And from here you have a beautiful view because there is a balcony and you can go outside and see the scenery. Göttweig is located on a little hill, and behind of me you see the river Danube, where the ships are located near the city of Krems. You even see the vineyards of Göttweig. Now, dear friends, it's time to go inside the Abbey Church. The first thing you maybe mention is the blue color of the Abbey Church. The walls are painted in blue. We have two explanations for that. The first thing is, in arts, blue is a symbol for royalty. It's a royal color. And Mary, she's patron saint of the Abbey Church, is often shown as Queen of Heaven. Maybe they painted the church for the people in the past to show them that she's the patron saint. The second explanation could be that the production of a blue color in the past was very expensive. They used a stone from Egypt called lapis lazuli, and with this stone they produced the blue color. Maybe they painted it in blue to show people that this is the most important room of the monastery and the church is worth being painted with this expensive color. Behind me you see the beautiful high altar with a big painting showing you the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Let's go a little bit closer to explain you what you see. The high altar is completely made of wood. It's no marble. The high altar was built 1639 with 4 wooden vined columns. And between the columns there are 2 important saints, Saint Peter and Saint Paul. Here, in this place, the monks are gathering every day for their prayers, and we use the wooden choir stalls. In the rule of Saint Benedict is written that the monks have to pray 5 times a day. We start at 6 in the morning with Lauds, then we celebrate Holy Mass every day at 6:45. At 12 o'clock there is a midday prayer. We are standing here in the choir stalls and singing in German. The 4th prayer is called Vespers at 6 in the evening, and on Sundays and on feast days we are using the famous Gregorian chant. Maybe you heard about that. And then people are coming, joining us, listening to the music and praying and singing with us. And the 5th, the last prayer of the day, is called Complete, Compline. That is a Latin expression and means the day is over. And we're gathering in the crypt, which is underneath. And in the crypt is also the tomb of our founder, Saint Altman from Passau. During winter time, we don't pray here because it's very cold in the church and the church can't be heated. There is no heating system here. Therefore, we pray in a little chapel which is located behind the high altar. During a guided tour, you don't have the possibility to go inside. It's a kind of private area. But for you today, you have this possibility, and this is really privileged access for Viking.TV, and the first time we're showing you that. So let's go through the high altar and go inside this chapel. The choir chapel. Every monk has got his own place, and this is my place, and I will show you a secret. And this is really privileged access. I never show this during guided tours. I have a wonderful hobby, not only praying, these are the books for our prayers, but my hobby is also soccer. And on each book of me is Bayern München, which is my favorite soccer team. Behind of me you see a statue of Saint Benedict. He is the founder of our order. On the opposite side here you see his sister, Saint Scholastica. And what we are doing now is really privileged access. And I hope and pray that our abbot will not see what we're doing, because I want to show you where the rooms of the monks are, our really private area where we're living. So shh, please be quiet. Come on. Back into the church, I want to tell you that I have got a second hobby, not only soccer, not only Bayern München, but also music, especially church music, organ music. Behind of me you see the beautiful big church organ of the Abbey Church of Göttweig. And let's go upstairs. I want to show you the organ really nearby. At this point, dear friends, we arrived at the end of this really special private tour for you and Viking.TV. We hope you loved it, and I hope we will see us very soon. So please book a cruise, come to Europe, come to Austria, cruise the Danube, and come to Krems and Göttweig Abbey, and we want to show you how beautiful and lovely this place is. And now I will give you a little bonus track. I will tell you that we are all praying for you, that this year will be good and healthy for you all, and we pray really that we see us in back condition soon again. Goodbye.